everyone, thank you for coming. I'm Niki Pilkington. As Melanie said, I'm Welsh, but I live in LA. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, I'll give you a little bit of, sorry, hang on a second. It'll get better, I promise. Right, bear with me. Right. So I'll just give you a little bit of a background of sort of where I started and things. I'm from North Wales. I went to, I did art foundation and then I went to uni in London. I went to a place called Ravensbourne because I heard that it was a great fashion illustration course, which is what I wanted to do. But a month in, the tutor left and there weren't enough of us for them to get another tutor in. So I was kind of in a difficult spot where they said, you can't do fashion illustration, but we can take you on one of the other courses. So I had to choose between menswear, women's wear, textiles, or fashion promotion. So although at the time I thought, this is awful, it actually worked out really well for me. So instead of just focusing on illustration for 3 years, I got to do all the other disciplines. So I did things like photography, graphic design, trend forecasting, all the Adobe software, Photoshop and all of that. So it kind of really broadened all my sort of knowledge of the fashion industry without just drawing all the time. It gave me it was a better sort of step into the industry because I had a little bit more there was more of the promotion side of it as well. So in terms of promoting myself as a freelancer, because I knew that's what I ultimately wanted to do. So I graduated in 2009 and then stayed in London for a bit. And I got picked up, I was quite lucky, I got picked up straight away by a agency there. So I got picked up by an agency there and kind of it got the ball rolling for me straight away. I did a job for Topshop after like a few months of graduating. I did a window in their flagship store on Oxford Street. And then I got a job with them for Ted Baker and it really helped because I had no kind of portfolio apart from what I'd created at uni. So it really got my foot in the door and gave me something to sort of show people. I then, after London, I'd been there for, I think, for about 4.5 years. And I moved back up to North Wales for a little bit just to figure out what I wanted to do with my boyfriend at the time, my now husband, who did graphic design. So we moved there to sort of decide what we wanted to do, and I started working at Plastic Weather, a gallery up there, just to work part-time and carry on sort of drawing in all the evenings. And I think it really helped me because it's a gallery that's very, it's reliant on volunteers, and a lot of them are elderly Welsh ladies. And they were always, my Welsh was a little bit rusty because I'd been in London for so long. But they would talk to me in Welsh and they'd always say these like really cute proverbs and things when they were talking to me, and there were things I'd learnt like the obvious ones in school, like Wynton y Ddwrn and that kind of thing, but these were like really interesting, pretty things, and I thought it was so sad that I'd never heard them, and I thought there must have been other people in the same sort of situation. So I started writing down all these little proverbs and idioms and then started working them into my artwork. So it was kind of like a nice contrast between these really old kind of forgotten sayings and my more modern way of working. So then I started to work on that and they signed me up for a solo exhibition, which they really trusted in me because I didn't have anything to show them at this point. I'd never had an exhibition. So I moved to Paris with my boyfriend at the time and carried on working on this exhibition from there, and came back, had an exhibition, and it went better than I could have ever imagined, and it sold out, which then gave me more it just propelled me to do more things in Wales. It gave me, I could go into shops and say, this is my stuff and it's sold out here, would you stock it and things, so it just helped me that way. And then I moved to New York. I didn't like Paris. It was a really hard time because it was quite lonely. I didn't speak French. I didn't really know what I was doing, and luckily Johnny was able to work. He was working for an agency that had an office in New York, so he was able to transfer. So we moved to New York. And my New York time, I loved it. I was there for 5.5 years, and there I kind of concentrated more. That's when Instagram was really starting out, so I was focusing on that and trying to create like an online portfolio. And yeah, just trying to build a name for myself in the US a little bit. And because I've always had kind of like bigger, I love Wales and it's always going to be my home, but I always wanted to get my work a little bit more out there than just in Wales. And then LA happened. We were at a position where we'd spent 5.5 years in New York and we were kind of ready for a new adventure. So we moved on to LA. So in LA, I'm still there, and there I'm trying to, again, just develop my brand and grow. And I'm doing more events and things, not as scary as this, but more in-store events and pop-ups and that kind of thing. So I've now been a freelancer for 10 years. I don't know where that's gone. But so here's some, if you're familiar with my work, these are some things that I make. So my work can be, it's not kind of straightforward. It's not like I just draw all day. I've kind of divided my work. I think there's 6 main categories of what I do. So one of them is commercial work, where I'll work for brands, and I've worked for people like I said, Topshop, Samsung, Facebook, Nike, Sir Paul McCartney, MTV, BBC, and then some US brands as well, like Call It Spring, American Express, that sort of thing. So commercial work is obviously like financially the best part of my job. It's the bit that pays the bills, and it's also the fun bit as well, because I get to work on projects that are funded and I can sort of play around a little bit. The next bit is content creation and influencer work. So thanks to social media, horrible social media, I get to do this kind of stuff. When Instagram sort of came out and started to get followers and things, I would just say yes to everything, because being a freelancer, you never know when things are going to come up. So I've now got to a position where I can kind of cherry pick a little bit the brands that I want to work with, because I realized that I would say yes to stuff and I was like, why, this isn't helping me, this is kind of harming my brand. I'm sort of promoting things that I wouldn't really use. So now I'm sort of trying to stay true to what I believe in, and because first and foremost, art is what I create. So I just want to work with brands that I really, really love and sort of reflect what I believe. The next section is events, stuff like this. It's really nice for me because I work from home by myself. It's really nice to mix it in with doing things where I get to meet people face to face. And also in terms of feedback, people will say, oh, I love this, but I wish you did it in this colour, or I wish you'd use this quote or do that. So it's a nice way to get genuine feedback from people, not just from trolls on the internet. So I'll do a lot of like pop-ups and markets and things, but also I'll work for PR agencies where they're doing events for influencers and stuff. So I'll go in and create like customized prints and that kind of stuff, so be from the other side of it. And the other section is private commissions. I try to do these as much as possible. I have like a bit of a wait list, so I prioritize the commercial work, because again, freelance, you never know when it's going to come in. So then when someone wants a private commission, I make it clear that there might be a little wait. But this is a really fun way to work as well, because somebody will come to me with a kind of a loose idea of what they want, and they know what my work is, so they know that they like it, and then I can kind of like manipulate them into doing what I think would work better. And then the 5th section is retail. It's a really important part of my work as like a brand. It's also another, it gets to, people love to shop locally, and so although I've got an online shop, this is so important for people that may have never seen my work on the internet. There's still people that don't have Instagram and things, so a lot of people discover my work from just going to nice little shops and seeing them that way. Also, I love the process of the prints. I love creating an artwork and doing like a collection of things and then making it as a print, packing it and shipping it off. It's like the OCD in me, like start to finish, kind of, I love it. And then the 6th section is online. So I have an Etsy shop, and I decided to do Etsy rather than doing it through my website, because I think people trust it. It's a brand that people use. It's really user friendly from both sides. It's easy for me to upload, and so yeah, it's a really great platform. And also with the discovery, people could be on there abroad and search for like Welsh art and find my stuff, and they may never have seen it before. So yeah, those are the different sections of what I do. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a list of a few of the things in terms of what I am as an illustrator. So I don't know if you can see it: accountant, artist, fee negotiator, concept developer, social media manager, wife, friend, prop maker, photographer, retoucher, graphic designer, printer, packer, postwoman, time manager, location scout, web developer, and never-ending inbox idea. So that's just some of the things that when people are like, oh, that's so nice, you just must stay at home drawing all day. I'm like, no, there's other bits to it as well. So these are all obviously distractions. They're all important to my work, but the distractions. So in terms of flow, these things can really stop my flow. So when I just want to draw, I have to try and escape this stuff and sort of manage my time. It's a bit never ending. So I want to talk about flow and what it means to me. So my interpretation of flow. When I'm on top of my to-do list, my work feels authentic, I'm not feeling anxious, I'm thinking of new ideas, I've caught up with family and friends, and I'm bringing more neon to people's lives. So basically when everything is running smoothly, that's kind of what flow means to me. So I really thought about flow and sort of tried to figure out how it applies to what I do. And I sort of did something which I've not done, and I kind of realized that without even knowing, I've separated things into two categories basically. And I found that defining what helps my flow and what doesn't is really important to what I do. So I've got things that don't help and things that help. So I feel like unless I identify them, then it's really hard to move forward. And if I'm like, why is this not working? Then if I've got a list of the things that help and don't, then I can kind of work it out from there. So I'm gonna go through the bad stuff first. So anxiety, I've not posted this yet. So I think people talk about it more, and I think people can relate to it a lot more. But anxiety, obviously, social media doesn't help. You're always pretending that things are perfect, even when they're definitely not. And it's like giving off the appearance of the perfect life. And the hard thing for me is that my work is supposed to be happy and cheerful and nice. So it's really hard to then say, do you know what, I'm not feeling great, because I don't want to bring the mood down, and for people to be like, I came to her page because I wanted to see something that like lifted me up, and then be like, oh, she's not feeling very happy. Bad comments. I'm lucky that I don't get a lot of bad comments, but when I do, it can ruin my day. So I could get like 1,000 nice comments on a picture, and then it's the one nasty one that stands out. This wasn't even particularly nasty. The girl was just saying, oh God. I like it better when, it was basically saying I like it better when the girls aren't dressed suggestively. So I was like, oh, she's got like a robe on. I don't think it's, and then the nice thing is there's like a little group of people that were like, she's not dressed suggestively. I was like, yes, go for it, you tell them. But I want people to give me their opinion, because my art is all visual, and I'm not doing it just because it's art and I want to put it out there. I want people to like it. So if people don't like it, I guess I kind of want to know. Or if they just like leave and don't tell me, that's fine as well. But yeah, so bad comments really don't help. And it is amazing how they can just like ruin your day. Feeling I can't draw is obviously something that affects my flow. I don't have like one source of my go-to place for inspiration. So if I'm feeling rubbish, then I don't feel in the mood to like go out and find cool things to draw or be inspired by stuff. You don't really want to do that. So, and there's also, Instagram means that you post the very best. I won't post it unless I'm happy with it. So there's a lot of things. I'll sometimes spend like 3 or 4 days on something and be like, this is such a great idea, I love this so much. And then like day 4, I'm like, no, it's just not working. And being freelancer, it's not like I'm in an agency where I'm being paid for my time. If I waste 4 days, then it's 4 days I could have been doing something else. So it kind of adds to the pressure of it as well. Like, oh my God, I've just wasted that time. Can I salvage it? And you scrumple it up. I don't scrumple it up, I'm very neat. I tidy it away. Feeling isolated and lonely, it's part of being a freelancer working from home. It's long days, and it always seems like the perfect job. And people are like, oh my God, you're so lucky you work from home. You must just like work in your pajamas. And sometimes I can, but just like this. This is exactly how I work every day, in heels. Yeah. There's no office banter. I never get to go to Christmas parties. I never get invited to things like that. So there are like negatives. Obviously it's amazing and I can work it around what I need to do, but there are pitfalls of working from home on my own. Feeling inferior, again, I think everyone can relate. In social media means that you compare yourself to everybody, which is horrible, and that can ruin your flow. I think if you're ambitious, then you're always going to compare yourself to other people and never feel satisfied, and it doesn't help, but you can't avoid it sometimes. Feeling lost, there's no certain path to being an illustrator really, but also being freelance. You never know when the next job's coming in. I could say yes to a job that ties me up for 6 months, or I could be waiting like patiently for an email to come through for a job. So it's not like being an accountant or a lawyer where you're like, right, I'll do this test, this exam, and then I'll graduate and I'll be signed up to this for however. There's no guidebook, so it can kind of ruin your flow a little bit because it makes you anxious and you get a little bit worried. Pleasing everyone, you can't, because I want to keep the Welsh part of my work in there, but a lot of my online following don't speak Welsh, so I don't want to post things that alienate people and they don't understand, but I also don't want to stop doing what I really love, and including the Welsh stuff. So it's kind of a balance of wanting to put it out there but not force it down people. But it's tough. It's like Welsh is my love in my work, and it's what helped me get my name out there, and I'll always want to keep that. But it's like, to give you a comparison, I painted a world map, which has been ripped off a little bit but it went viral, and it was a few years ago, and it really helped me, and it boosted my following. But at the time I wasn't set up with my prints and stuff, so I couldn't go, here's my map, buy it here. But I put it out there, and it built up my social media and stuff. So it did really well on social media, but then I'll post things like, I have a print, which I should have put on here, and it says, Paid newid byth, like please never change, and it's 2 girls. And that's been one of my best-selling prints. But online it didn't really get, it was like okay, yeah, nice. People liked it and stuff, but it was nowhere near the amount of like the map got. So it's really hard to think, oh, should I do something that I know people will like and physically like it on Instagram? Or should I do something that I know is going to sell? So it's hard to kind of find a balance. Art theft. This is my favourite gift in the world. So I'll just leave it on this. So it happens to everyone, and everyone is inspired by people at the end of the day. You're not the first person to do anything. But when it's clearly copying and things, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but that's a lie. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible when it happens. And the worst thing for me is if I do something and somebody makes a copy of it, my worry is that someone will see theirs first, and then they'll go, oh, I'm sure that someone else has done that. And it's that whole like wormhole of, people stealing things. Again, the pressures of social media, I can now create an image and put it out to thousands of people, but then you're also putting out to thousands of people that could potentially go, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do that. So it's finding a balance of like, I'll sometimes hold things back until I'm totally ready. So I'll create something and be like, oh, if I post it now, this is like part of a series, so I have to consider that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a quote actually by Jeffrey Zeldman that says, "Don't worry about people stealing your design work, worry about the day they stop," which I think is a good way to think about it, and just think, well, you're doing something right if people are copying you. So I'm sorry, I'll get rid of this now. So now the good stuff. To-do lists are my favourite things in the world. I get all twitchy if I don't have mine with me. I break my days into timing increments because I found that I was making never-ending to-do lists, and then I'd never achieve them because nobody could in the day. And then I go to bed feeling oh, I've not done everything, and then wake up feeling rubbish, like I was on the back foot. So I break them into crazy OCD hour steps, and I find that really helps with the flow of my day. The good side of being a freelancer and working from home is that I can work from anywhere. If I want to work from a coffee shop, I can. If I want to work from another country, I can. It's not perfect because being between Wales and LA, I have to try and figure out things like when's the best time to post, because if I post it now, which I know is good for LA, people in the UK are going to bed and that kind of stuff. It's like first world problems, but it kind of, and also I find that sometimes I'll stay up really late because I know that the UK are going to wake up and I can reply to emails early, and it just gets you've got to kind of stop at some points. But there are good bits of working for yourself. Online community, I've got loads of people that I can lean on for advice or just to say nice things. It's great. And I think it's really important to know your allies in this stuff, and I'm getting better at sort of sharing things and speaking to people, and lifting each other up I think is really important, and it's a really big part of the message of my work as well. So if I don't practice what I preach and don't talk to people and stuff, then it's kind of pointless. Sales, it sounds really materialistic, but it really does help. The thought of someone buying a piece of my work to put in their house is so humbling and so lovely. And every time I get a sale, they say every time an independent seller gets a sale, they do a happy dance, and it's so true. It really is just because you feel you're doing something right, and so it's a really important part of my work, just for boosting morale. And I don't take any of them for granted. Every sale is really important to me. Inspiring others, this is crazy. So the thought that school kids now study my work in schools is just mind-blowing. It's the best everywhere in Wales. It's nuts. I get sent pictures like this all the time, and it's just the loveliest, heartwarming feeling, because I remember being in school studying artists and just being this, I'll never be doing what they're doing or whatever, and I kind of am, and it's mental. But also, as part of my work, my message is nice things, and I always try and reply to every email eventually. I never sort of ignore things, and when I get nice messages from people, and I try to reply, because I think it's important. There's no point me saying be kind to everyone and then just deleting messages. So I try to be a good person throughout. So these are some of the examples, just the best. So if any of these get too good, I'll move them up to that raccoon thief page. But yeah, it's crazy. The environment, I won't be too preachy, but I try to do the best that I can in terms of work and in my personal life. So I kind of, not shame, but I do try. America is horrible for waste. There's just plastic everywhere, and there's no kind of avoiding it. And I feel if they can't change, then we're doomed. But I try to. But also within my own work, I try to use recycled paper, backing board. My packaging, my tubes and things are all from recycled materials, or if not all recycled, then partly recycled. The only hurdle I have at the moment is cellophane bags. Right now it's in its inventory, infancy, sorry. So they can't, the companies that are manufacturing them they don't know how long they're going to last. So I could pack 1,000 prints in these bags, and then like in 2 years they'll all start disintegrating. So, but as soon as they nail the formula or whatever, I'll be switching everything to eco bags. But that's the only thing at the moment that keeps me up at night that I can't change. But I also, in terms of jobs, I turn down a lot of jobs that with brands that I disagree with. Like I get countless offers from like plastic water bottle companies, and some of them are so, you're like, oh God, this is really, really, really good opportunity and it's really good money, but I just completely disagree with it, and I'd be like a fraud if I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I do turn down jobs that I don't sort of think are good for the planet. Coherent brand, so I think my style is obviously, it develops as everybody's would over time, but I hope that if you see a print from now and a print from 3 years ago or something, you can still know it's mine. Obviously I still experiment with different things, but I think keeping it all coherent helps flow, because it just makes everything easier. You're like, oh, I'm designing something new, this is the sort of format that I'm going to go for. So I try and keep it all like on brand with my work throughout everything. It's a really competitive industry, so you want someone to be able to go, oh, we've got this job, I know someone that does something like that, and then they can kind of like visualize you for different jobs. More raccoons. A good work-life balance is, I can't stress it enough. So it's my job, but it's also my addiction. I love what I do. So knowing when to stop is really hard. You think, oh, I'll just do a little bit more, and it doesn't work. I'm working on it. And the 2 different time zones don't help and things, but I think I'm learning more and more to get a better work-life balance. And I think I find that if I'm doing more things on a personal level, then my work is better because I'm more rested, or I'm happier in general. And I think, oh, that would be good, and I'm more positive about stuff. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand. And also a social media detox. I'm sure you'll do a whole talk about that. It's just, I recently took my mum, who's here, came over to visit, and she was coming for 3 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to schedule posts, and I'm going to have to prepare posts, and how am I going to do emails? And it was just like, I was more worried about that than anything else. And I kind of was forced into taking 3 weeks off, and I occasionally looked at my phone and did the odd thing. But after that 3 weeks, I came back, and we went on like a little road trip, and I realized that nothing had changed. Like my Instagram hadn't blown up. Everything was absolutely fine. And it kind of was the nudge that I needed to realize that I could step away from stuff, and nothing will go really badly. So yeah, work-life balance. I'm sorry, I'm getting rid of the raccoons. So yeah, there's definitely things that help and things that don't. So identifying them, I think, yourself really will help you sort of move forward. So not everything flows smoothly, and it really would probably be boring if it did, because I think the bumps in the road are what makes us what we are, but also, like for me, the things that go wrong are sometimes where some of the best ideas come from. So it's not all bad if things don't go great. I think it's important to reassess your values. Am I doing work that I'm proud of? Am I being nice to people? Am I making clients happy? And just to sort of take a step back occasionally and figure all that out. So it took me a long time to get here, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I'm a little bit OCD, and I don't think I ever really truly feel happy. But I guess the take from this, if you can take anything, is that if you're ambitious, but you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, then take it all like a day at a time, and know that you're heading in the right direction. And just learn to value how far you've come and look back at what you've achieved. And everything that's worth doing takes time anyway. But yeah. Thank you.